Ryan,
Yes.
are you going to share your screen from the bike stuff?
No.
Okay. I tried to pull up the link that Ty sent, but it requires a code into the GIS. So
I will try to share my screen on some of the things. So I will try to do better. If you'll remind me to share my screen, I can do that.
okay. Thanks.
So you're done. It's just me and Josh. Hey, everybody, is Josh on?
Yes,
Yeah.
I am.
It's
There you are. Where are you?
I am in Kanab.
Well, I should have you go see my uncle and aunt and our son.
Happy to do it, but I got to attend this meeting first.
Braden lives down there too. Do you know Braden? Braden
No, I don't. Yeah.
Brad's oldest. Okay, well, welcome to the Providence City Council meeting, Wednesday, December 21st, 2022. We have Jeff Nebeker, Brent Beth, Carrie Kirk, and Janelle Seeley is online, and Josh Bolton is online. I'm Kathleen Alder, the mayor. So we'll have Carrie Kirk lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then Brent Beth will say our opening prayer. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Heavenly Father, it is with humility that we bow our heads before Thee. Father in heaven, we are very grateful for our community of Providence. We're grateful, Father in heaven, the citizens have trusted us to govern the affairs of this community. We're grateful, Father in heaven, for this beautiful land that we live in, where we may meet together and be able to govern ourselves. And Father in heaven, we're very grateful for those people who give of their time and talents to support this community in any fashion or way. We're grateful, Father in heaven, again this evening for the many, many blessings which Thou hast bestowed upon us. We pray humbly this evening, Father in heaven, that while we're convened, that we might be able to again make proper decisions, use good wisdom and judgment. And we pray those who are ailing with sickness, and may be watched over and blessed. Again, we thank Thee for all things, and we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you for that. We have council report to start out with. So Jeff, do you want to start?
Oh, I don't have a lot, but I did go to a very exciting CMAD meeting and got sworn in on that board, so.
The mosquito abatement.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Cache Mosquito Abatement District Board, so I'm sworn in there and I'll go to those meetings. They were going through budgets and stuff, which I don't know much about at this point, but anyway, that's about it.
Okay.
You've done very well. We haven't seen a mosquito for quite some time now.
Yeah,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Couple months.
Yeah. I too don't have a whole lot. Seems like that the transportation meeting starts at 5:30 on the third Wednesday of the month, and the emergency management meeting starts at 6:30 on the third Wednesday of each month. Makes it a little bit difficult for me to attend 3 meetings during the same hour. And so I have to read the minutes, but I did attend the historical committee and reported back to them a discussion regarding what I brought up last time about funding. And then Ryan and I talked further after this, and we had 2 or 3 options we talked about, whether to try and get the council to open the budget and provide more money for them, or to see about just basically or a fundraiser, or to see if they would be interested in waiting to another budget year and see if we could budget the money in for those plaques, because they're increasing in price. They're about $4,000 now. This pedestal, we think, still is around $1,000, and it was the voice of the group that felt like that what they would like to do is still, they felt like there was still a couple $1,000 they could use. So they're going to get with Bear Welding and see if they could get the pedestals made yet in this budget year, and then ask the council to look at approving 2 plaques for the next budget year, which would be, well, right now there'd be about 8,000. We hope they kind of settle down. So that's the proposal. That's where we're going with this. Also, the Thorpe painting, that painting from the Astle family. What the proposal is there is the attorney, I guess, is writing up an agreement.
I've got a first draft of that.
You have a first draft.
I do now.
To see if the Astles will agree to that. We might be able to work with them. I don't think there's going to be any money exchange. That wasn't the plan. It was just to be able to display it on this wall here. So the only other thing I have to report is I'm working still getting these brochures out, and I've kind of run into a lull in getting them handed out through the various stakes and 3 stakes that we're involved with. And I've not put a lot of pressure on them this month because a lot of things going on, but I will in January and see if we can get them out. So,
when you're working with the stakes, they're disseminating to everybody in the neighborhood, right? Because we don't have another church.
No,
Here.
it's all people who reside in Providence.
They'll hand them out to everybody.
They're just the messengers
Okay.
Yeah.
They just volunteered
to carry it out.
carry them out. Great.
On that one, Millville contacted me and said they liked what we were doing and asked if they could get a copy so they could take a look. So we've borrowed from Logan, Millville's borrowed from us. So anyway,
No
you
reason
should
to
know that maybe.
reinvent the wheel.
Anyway, just thought I'd report that for you.
Thank you.
Great. Brent, let me just ask you this. Have you checked, is Bear Welding giving us some kind of a break on the pedestal?
Howard is checking on that. Howard,
Because we can certainly go to an individual that would be, maybe has less overhead that might be able to do.
we can check on that. Howard is going to report back at his next meeting what he's found out about those pedestals, and we can have that discussion.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's always good to have competition.
Oh, yeah.
Have another source. Great.
Great.
The new website is getting closer, and so that's exciting to see happening, and I'm happy that the staff is prioritizing that. I've attended a couple of the skate park meetings, and they've got proposals out. They're due back January 10th-ish, and we'll meet and look at those. Oh, Brian's going to show us the new website design. Hopefully it will be much easier for people to navigate and find the information and connect with Providence and know that we're Providence, Utah.
Yeah.
So we've distinguished ourselves. So that's where we're at as far as the new design look. And if you have feedback, speak now or forever hold your peace. And the skate park has found some grant possibilities, and so they'll be working on those in January and in the spring. The youth council helped with the city celebration, which I thought was very successful, and there was quite a bit of money raised and lots of people there. And we just were so happy with that the weather held out, and I've been getting lots of comments on how awesome the tree looks this year, and adding some extra lights and some big decorations has really improved the look of that. At the last meeting, we were asked by a citizen to share what we felt was the purpose of a public hearing. And I took that as a serious question and not a rhetorical question. And here is my thoughts on what a public hearing is. I think number one is to consider solutions for the citizens to come with solutions and ideas. I come to a public meeting thinking, what does the public know that has not been brought to my attention? So I'm looking for new information, or if there's anything that I can learn from the public, and then to consider solutions with the community. I do not see a public hearing as like taking a vote. It takes a pulse on special interest groups, but those in attendance generally don't represent the broader public. So it's not like everyone that comes to a public meeting is representing the citizens of Providence. Generally, it's public interest. But if there's any new information that can be given to me to make a better decision, or any solutions brought to the table, that's what I'm looking for in a public hearing.
Thank you. Yes.
I too would like to respond to that, because I feel like a public hearing is an opportunity for us to hear, as Carrie said, from the people who are, you might say, collectively interested in what we're dealing with in a area. Sometimes it's across the broad town, sometimes it's localized, and it's a time for us to hear public input. And again, I'm like Carrie, I like to hear things that are new that maybe haven't been brought up, we haven't discussed, or I haven't thought of before. And what it means to me is that I still have been elected to weigh all sides and all avenues the best I can, in taking into consideration what the public has given me, what the group is interested in, what the city code is, and what overall would probably, in my opinion, be best for the community of Providence. And that's how I take a public hearing.
Thank you. I too have some information about that. You know, there are two things that we're required by law to do. And we are required to have a public meeting when we're changing laws, and when we are changing zones, and or raising property taxes. The rest of the time, we ask for public input in a public hearing because we want to hear what people have to say. Unfortunately, when we have a public hearing and have people come to this meeting, it's usually people who they're against whatever we're doing. And we don't always get a balanced look at what's going on. So we do go out into the community. We do call people. We do ask other questions of people when we're out and about, so that we can get the pulse of what's going on. Yes, we always want public feedback. We always have, all decisions are made in a public meeting so that we are open and transparent. We allow people to come in and talk about things, even when it's not on the agenda, as long as it's something within our purview. And we want to make sure that the citizens feel like we're listening to them, not just in this meeting, but throughout the city and throughout all the things that we're trying to accomplish in the city. So a couple of things that I would like to bring up. A big thank you to Nicole Bone and Ashley Poole and our city staff, who did such a great job on our tree. I've had a ton of comments from people. Thank you for we're changing the tree and to decorate it and make it look beautiful. And people come into our city and see that beautiful big tree, and we had people standing out in the cold to put all that stuff on, and it looks absolutely beautiful. I wanted to report to you that we did, between the car show and the tree lighting, we earned over $2,100. Do you remember the exact amount? 21 something. And we donated that to the family place. Shania Collett and I went and delivered the check to them yesterday, and they were so grateful. And they have a donor who will match up to $100,000 for whatever else anybody donates. And so that $2,100 became $4,200, which was awesome. And just to let everyone know that I talked with the family place and said, we'd like you to come to one of our meetings and kind of explain what services are available, because as money gets tighter and it puts families at risk. It puts things, we have problems that come up, and they're in a position to help people that are in a problem. There's also a warming station in Logan. We don't have a homeless shelter, but we do have a homeless station that is open from 7 at night till 7 in the morning. So when it's really, really cold, they'll be able to go to that, and it's at, I believe, it's a Presbyterian church. And I grabbed my file, but I didn't grab the flyer that I have on it. So I will need to maybe at some point run down and say, Bob, can you go get that for me? It's just sitting on my desk. Here's my key. Sure. Thank you. It's on the back, so just hold the back up to it. And then I can give you the place where that is. But that's good to know, because there are homeless people that want to be homeless, but they need a place sometimes on these really cold nights. So with that, Josh, would you like to give us your report?
Yeah, I don't have anything to report this month, other than I appreciate Carrie bringing up Cheryl Ames' challenge, or I guess question of the council at the last meeting. I too had thought about it, and I don't want to take too much time and add and repeat what's been said by Carrie and you, Mayor, and Brett Smith, because I feel like you've covered it really well. And I actually concur and agree with everything that was said. The only other one that I would add is I appreciate that a public hearing is also distinguished from many sort of conversations that we have as a public council, and that it is part of the formal record of the action of business that was taking place. So, the people that present, they tell us their names, and the information that they share is part of that decision-making process. And I think that that's really, really important. So as we go back, we can kind of evaluate whether or not we did something good or we made a mistake, what the comments were regarding those. The other thing that's part of a public record would be comments that we get via text message or email. And so I appreciate those people that write in comments as well. For me personally, I think it's really, really helpful to provide another perspective as we deliberate and make decisions. So I appreciate that question of the council. I thought it was a worthwhile exercise to go through, and I appreciate the engaged citizen that came and did that last month.
Did you cut him off? Or?
He did not. He muted himself.
Oh, I saw
I'm muted. Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
mouth was moving, and I thought, well, we didn't hear that. Okay.
I was talking to my roommate in this hotel room. It was a little noisy in here. I was trying to talk. So yeah.
That was one of the points that I wanted to bring up too, and that is that when people actually come to the meeting, that it gets in the minutes, it gets in the notes, and it gets recorded. So there is an advantage to coming, but we can't always get people here. Janelle.
I don't have much to report either. I met with the Healthy Cities Coalition a couple of times this month. We're getting our application together. It should be done next month, so we can get it submitted. But it's I have a brain fog, you guys. I don't feel very good. But I wanted to respond to Charlene's statement as well, but for the lack of redundancy, I feel like I agree with everything that the other council members have said. It's helpful to have solutions presented, and it's helpful to hear other perspectives that maybe we haven't heard. But I do think it's important to realize that this isn't the only place we get opinions and people's feedback from. So, but I do appreciate those that come and attend the meetings. So that's all I have.
Janelle, did you see the email that they're changing the requirements for the Healthy Utah?
Yes, they. I went to the retreat, the stakeholders retreat in October, and they told
Okay,
us.
so you're aware of the changes.
Yeah, thanks.
We want you to get well.
Thank you.
We won't make you talk a lot. So that's it for the council reports. I will entertain a motion for approval of the minutes.
I move that we approve them.
What?
I will second Brent's motion once he makes it.
Okay. You jumped on him.
Sorry. I will make a motion that we approve the minutes of our last meeting. November
Yes,
November 17th,
16.
16th, sorry.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments? Everything all right?
I sent a couple typos into Ty.
Okay. I'm assuming those are taken care of. Thank you. So we have a motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We now have time for public comment. For anyone to speak, if it has to do with something that's within our purview and isn't related to one of the items that is on the agenda. Cheryl, did you want to come up?
Cheryl Eames from Providence, thank you very much for the thoughtful messages you left. I didn't hear a report from Jeff. Was I not here?
Yeah.
No, I didn't report.
You said you'd been to the mosquito abatement
Well, yeah,
and sworn in. Yeah.
But I didn't hear that.
Oh.
Yeah, so I
Okay.
went to a meeting and swore myself in.
He got sworn into the mosquito abatement, so he's gonna take care of us and make sure we don't have any mosquitoes next year.
Do you have any comments to make about your opinion of public hearing?
I agree with the rest of them, I think, most of them. Well, I struggle with majority rule type thing. So when people come to these meetings, I understand it could be a small opinion or perspective of certain people. And there are a lot of people out there, and I wish more people would come to these meetings and share their opinions
We do too.
on all sides.
We do too.
Because that's what I've seen from the public comment. It's kind of one-sided. And I have a feeling that there are a lot of people out there that don't share the same opinion. And so that's what I value the public comment 100% because you're the ones that are here, you care about the city, and I put that high on my priority list. I just wish more people would show up. I mean, we can't. How many people can we hold in this room? I don't know, but I know there are a lot more
We can hold a
opinions
lot,
out
and we-
there, and
Live stream it, we could take on anyone that would want to come and participate in our meetings. We're happy to have them in a manner.
Every
Because
place I go, everyone that I speak to, I say, please come to our meeting.
And do you have a number of how many people out there in the public are listening at, like right now, how many people are listening to this?
you know,
meeting?
lots of times
Not
it's
very
not
many.
those that listen now. It's that there will get some that when they've been on, they'll listen, they'll hear something, maybe hear it in the newsletter and come on. But we get, on average, we'll get, I haven't looked lately, but 20 to 50 different people that will log on at some point and view it. So we have a good following at some point. When we send out surveys, we get hundreds of responses. And so we can send a survey and get a lot more response than we can fit in the room. But if anybody wants to come and they can participate through Zoom and we can fill anybody that wants to participate, we can service that technologically wise.
Well, and ultimately, people elected us because they trust us to make wise decisions. They trust us to talk to them. They don't want to come to meetings. They want us to do our jobs, to do the research, to figure it out, to read up, to study, to crunch the numbers, and then they want us to figure it out.
So I think when there's a topic out there and things might be 50-50, it's challenging for us here. But at the same time, if it were majority, if 90%, sometimes I go back to the other 10% too,
And
with
the 10%
with the majority ruling the other 10%. So in all cases, I like there to be the most freedom for all people with decisions. And
Well, people who are happy with what's going on don't want to show up and say, we're really happy with what's going on. And so, I'll tell you, you probably were in that group. We've all been in that group. If we're happy with the decisions that our elected leaders are making, then coming to a meeting is probably not something that we want to do. But anyway, we'll continue to improve. We'll continue to ask questions. Cheryl, you have another comment? Come on up. You only get two.
That is not the reason I come to city council meetings, because I'm unhappy. I minored in political science 60 years ago at Utah State. I keep trying not to be interested. It's here in my
We're glad
heart.
that you're, and you want to know outlier, one of two in the room, you know, you're an outlier.
I want you to know that's not the reason I come, because I'm
I don't think any of us thought that,
okay.
actually. But thank you, Cheryl. It's always good to be informed, and more people should be informed, and more informed than they are, but we can't go out and drag people to the meeting. Okay, so do we have any comments or anything online, Scarlett?
I checked a little bit ago, already looked in, but no.
Okay. Bob, did you want to speak? This is public comment.
I want to speak on something that's on the agenda.
Okay. Okay, no comments from either on email or Twitter or any of our social media, so we appreciate those who have participated. So I'll close that portion of the meeting. We do not have any public hearings tonight, no resolutions or ordinances, no agreements, contracts, bid awards. But under other business, we have item number 2, which is the only item. Providence City bike lane improvements and route feedback. Providence City Council will review the feedback received from the public and staff regarding bike lane improvements and route for the approved 2020 Transportation Master Plan. So, Ryan, if you would take that and
Sure.
explain, and then we'll give people an opportunity to speak if they'd like to.
Okay. We had a lot of good feedback. Our survey came back with, I think, over 75 different detailed responses. We had a good discussion at our last meeting. We visited with our engineer and brought that information back to our engineer and that's designing it. We classified some of the concerns in a number of different directions. One, we had specific concerns on 850 East, and we've asked that the engineer take off the bicycle lane on the west side of that street for that stretch. We feel like that kind of is more residential and doesn't necessarily have to be there at this point. We'll leave it on the east side. We feel like there's some benefit still to have a trail as it goes up to the trailhead there on 9th East. So we'll leave it on the east side, but take it off the west. We also noticed that there were several in many of our more residential areas that were concerned about no parking. And so we've removed some of the signage that would have been potential and would remove the no parking signage. There won't be a red curb. There won't be signage. There will be a bike lane for bikes to follow. But for those times that there's a, Sunday dinner, Thanksgiving, something that you haven't somebody invited over, those aren't what we're looking for as an enforcement mechanism. And so we felt like taking off some of the signage would help there. We will leave some of the signage on the bigger road on Gateway Drive. It makes more sense. That is a narrow road, and to be able to continue it through there. It's a connection to Logan already, and they've got that signage through there. So it's just a continuation of a major collector road down that one. It shouldn't affect very many. Most don't. There's a few that might affect, but for that corridor, that was UDOT said you really need to have it on your major corridor. And so we felt like that was appropriate to communicate between Public Works and myself and the engineer. So we had those. Some of the other concerns were maintenance. We have been looking and are interested we have a street sweeper, and we're interested in having somebody be able to come and help sweep streets on a part-time basis. And we're interested in when we have official lanes, we're interested as anybody else to maintain that and be able to sweep it so that it's safe for bicyclists would be helpful. So if you want to do that, Mayor, would love to have you. Is that what you're going to say? I could just tell you're reading your face. You just wanted to. You want to get in that.
But I want to volunteer for that.
You want to drive the sweeper.
You and I need to have that. No, but we do have 40 miles of road, which means that the sweeper has to do 80 miles of sweeping. So that will be they'll be sweeping a lot. But I think that will help our bike riders. It'll help our walkers. It'll help.
And we would
all kinds
prioritize it based on those that have bike lanes. We would start with our some of our bike lanes and some of our. We'd prioritize. We won't get to all 80 miles. We won't get to them all, but we will prioritize them if they do.
The public knows that that's how much money we have in Providence. So we do both sides. That's 80 miles.
Right. But if we start with the first couple of miles we have on our bike lanes and do some of that, that's where we'll start. So that's a benefit to have a bike lane in front because, at some point we hope to slip. So, all good intentions. If we can't find any labor to do things, then that becomes a difficulty. But we have that.
If you have any friends that want to come and drive the sweeper, you can drive to Salt Lake on a sweeper. Can you imagine? No, it's paid.
We'll pay Bob if you want to come and do that. We'll pay. So then there's.
You're talking about that. Can I add something to that?
Sure.
Along 3rd East and several streets in Logan where they have bike lanes, I've noticed, of course, it's winter and not many people ride bikes, but they do ride bikes. But it sometimes winds up that half of the bike lane has got the snow plowed into it, and so there's only a narrower strip of the bike lanes. And I realize people don't ride them as much, but I do see people riding bikes in the wintertime, of course, especially around the university campus and stuff. So that's another issue that's probably going to have to be addressed if we, when we're dealing with bike lanes.
Yeah, it's true. And obviously when we have some of those kind of things, if we have a sidewalk that's separated, that's why our standard separates from the curb and has a park strip for We should stop calling it a park strip. Really, most people don't park there unless you live in Florida. It's really a snow rick strip, so that the snow goes there. We can start doing that, right?
Snow
It's a
storage.
snow storage strip. Another one of the concerns is that we're focusing too much on bike lanes and not enough on everything else. And I wanted to kind of give an idea that that's just not true for us.
Ryan, not enough what? I didn't catch what you said there. Not enough what?
Not enough focus on other things and too much focus on bike lanes.
Just other things. Okay. All right.
So I kind of thought I would give a demonstration here and show a map. I will share the screen. And it was nice of Neil to remind me. I'll share this screen here. So this screen is all the different projects that we intend to work on in the next 12 months. You can see that we are working on nearly every area of Providence. Although bike lane may be the thing we're doing in your neighborhood today, it may not be what we're doing in your neighborhood tomorrow, or we may not be in your neighborhood on another project. We have a variety of things that we're working on. We have bike trails, pickleball courts, skate parks, road improvements, including water improvements. We have finishing Alma Lenhart Park. We have finishing 100 South. We have the possible drilling of multiple test wells. We have a sewer lift station. We have a shop expansion, and we have fiber, and we have cutting of curb. We have a vast item of things we're working on. But that was one of the things that we got feedback on, is that some don't necessarily know all of the places that we're working in, and we're afraid that we were working too much on these bike lanes. The reverse side of that is that some felt like we had bike lanes, but they didn't get to everywhere they wanted. Keep in mind that this is the first of many steps in the bike lane process. This is just starting a foundation of bike lanes. There is some that ties in part of recreation, some that ties in part of commuting, some that ties to the deer fence trail, and we're trying to have a balance. But just because we don't have all of what you want doesn't mean that we aren't aware of some of those desires. The master plan was very good in identifying many of those, and so we'd like to make sure that people that concern came out as, well, why don't you have some more loops? Well, some of that will come, but this is the first of several phases. But you can see that we're working from everything from fiber in different areas of this next year to bike lanes, to trimming sidewalks so that we can make sidewalks safer, to taking on rotomilling streets and repaving. So anyway, another one of the changes we made, and as you can see on here, is the bike lane up Center Street. There was some concern. We had our engineer, we had one of the team came out and tried it. So we had to have, they actually tried it, and we said, okay, we agree. It's pretty tough. And so we've gone around and we've had that came from some of that feedback that we got to kind of come around, and to connect that way instead of having a trail straight up Center Street. So we believe we've been responsive in trying to identify that feedback, make some modifications, and then unless there's additional modifications that are being looked at this point, we anticipate that this will be where we head forward. Engineering will complete probably end of January, and we'll be out to bid on the trails through Zollinger Park to the bike trails and 300 South, hopefully early next spring. So, and then we'll have it constructed through the year. But anyway, you can kind of see our plate of work that we got going this year.
Well, and we also would encourage people to read our master plans. We've got a Parks and Trails master plan. We've got an overall general plan. So the plans are there. It's just that we're chipping away at them a little at a time. We can only do a certain amount. There's also timelines in there as to when we're going to do particular things. And in some cases, we have enough money that we can pull some things forward. So anyway, thanks, Ryan. Anyone like to speak about this or ask questions?
One fast question.
Okay, you have to come up and say who you are and
Jo Marie Ochoa. And the question, did I hear you right that the new engineering drawings will be out at the end of January?
The finalized drawing should be out at that point, yes.
Okay.
Yes, they should be.
Will be finalized then.
That's
Okay,
what, we're
so-
finalizing drawings, and they would go to UDOT for approval, but those changes have been submitted to that, and those changes are being updated, so. Yep.
And does this include
in the mic.
the moving, oh, I'm sorry, does this include the moving of the deer fence and the trail up so that those property owners will actually be able to use their own backyards?
That is not inside of the scope of this project. So moving a deer fence trail is not in the scope of this project.
Can we get the federal government to do that?
Yeah, I think that's some responsibility of who's there. I mean, those people that have bought them as that was there and right of ways that are there. I'm not sure whether that's, I don't know where that would be at. But at this point, there is some spots that you have access to it. You will notice we did have one that the access was through a private one. We took that off. That was a feedback. Said, oh, you know, that connection to the deer fence trail isn't quite there yet, so we'll pull that one off. And that was Eagle View Drive, Court Drive.
Mhm.
So anyway, we pulled that one off because that connection wasn't quite there to the deer fence, so we pulled that one back off too. And I didn't mention that, but that is one of those things we did. So
Thank you.
okay.
Thanks for your feedback.
Ryan, sorry,
was-
Kathleen, can I ask a quick question? Just because I didn't understand, I didn't quite understand. I know it's not integral to the bike lane discussion, but I want to make sure I understood the comment. Was the comment getting access to the deer fence trail from their backyard, or relocating the deer fence trail because it's in their backyard? I just didn't understand the comment.
Relocating
The deer trail.
and moving the fence up. Moving the
Maybe
fence.
the fence up. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just want to make sure I understood the comment. Sometimes it's harder to make it out on the site. Janelle, I thought you had a question too.
Just that Ryan had said that the Eagle View was removed, but looked like it was still on the map.
It might be on the plan as far as a master plan map, but on the engineering, it will be removed from the engineering drawings.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, I'm Bob Washburn, Providence.
You look like Santa tonight.
Thank you.
With your red shirt.
Really tried hard. So the bike paths seem to have the cart before the horse in some ways, in my mind. We have a lot of collector roads, and arterial roads aren't wide enough for that kind of purpose. Or safe for walking or biking. The Canyon Road especially stands out in my mind. But the bike lanes themselves, I know that, and I've talked to Ryan, I understand the road width issues and parking and that type of thing, but I think the public doesn't in general. Why there shouldn't be parking in certain areas, and that's something I think that people ought to understand. And I know that when people move in didn't look at any code requirements or anything like that when I bought my house. Now it looks like there may not be any parking in front of my house. And so there are just some things that are a concern to me. You address a little bit the cleaning and sweeping of debris off a bike lane. If we're going to have a bike lane, it needs to be safe for bicycles, for the tires, that type of thing. The Center Street, you mentioned that. Center Street is not a great street to have a bike lane because there's a stop sign going east and west. Half of the intersection, which is, you know, it's a problem, especially if you're going uphill. And I'm not certain that we're really addressing the needs of why we would have a bike lane. My understanding was that people wanted a bike lane for commuting purposes. But the bicyclists that I see are really commuting. I mean, like 99% are using the bicycle, the roads for bicycling for recreation. And Ryan mentioned the park strips. You know, that's some right of way that's not being used for anything that's useful when it's biking weather. And you know, that could be used for parking instead of, you know, in summertime. That type of thing could be used for parking to have enough width on the streets to make it safe for bicycles and people to have a guest at their home. Those are the comments that I felt like really needed to, that are on my mind. And in talking to people who are bikers and who are homeowners, that there's a concern. And I am really concerned about safety with the street. So that's my comment. Thank
Do you have a solution for it?
Well, to address the width of the streets, but if we have a collector road or an arterial collector, whatever the names are, there should be enough width on the roads and the right of way to have a place for people to walk. Canyon Road, especially there, just down where it comes from First East of that curve, there's no place to walk that's safe at all. And you know, to me, that would be a top priority to find a way to make it safe for those who want to either bike or walk, because there's not enough room for two cars passing each other, plus an individual walking or biking in most of that area. And that's an arterial road or a collector road.
Well, we should probably talk. I mean, we're not doing anything about that right now, but you know, we're always open to talk about those things.
So, but the bike lane thing, you know, just kind of brought some focus in some of these areas that are concerned. And so I just wanted to bring that up. That I think bike lanes are good. And I think that people like to bike. I know up in the area where I live, up in Little Baldy, along 850 East, during the summer, we have a lot of bikes, but they're there for recreation. And most of the time, they either walk their bikes up Center Street or they're coming up Spring Creek Parkway. If they're going to try and ride it, they'll traverse back and forth using the entire road and not stay in a bike lane.
You know, we can't do anything about that other than tell them not to do it.
Yeah.
Or provide a better route, which we're working to provide.
So,
I would comment first, you're on the planning commission and we appreciate your service there. There has been times that discussing road widths comes up at planning commission, and we would encourage you to take that and have that consideration as you are in a position of something of an advisory role there. I would show a map that may be interesting to some, and I'm going to share it here. This map shows the roads inside of Providence that are below standard width. So our standard width of 30 feet for a residential and 37 for a minor collector. These are all roads that are inadequate. So if we start on one, and you can pick a number of them.
I could pick.
Well, you can pick on, but at some point there is a lot, and at some point if you missed the other of what is being worked on and projected, there is a lot of work being done, and there's a lot more to go.
I agree.
But we've got to start somewhere. And I think
identifying
that's
those
where
things
we're
and
going.
Talking about them is how we do it, so we appreciate the
Okay.
feedback.
But I totally agree. Coming from an asphalt background, I'm totally your fan. I'll cheer you on for wider roads every day, all day long.
Well, I appreciate it. I just want to spend some time to voice my opinions, plus the comments that I've had received as I've talked to the people about the situation. So
Great, thank you.
thank you.
We love people that are interested.
To
Um,
Ryan.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that there were some that you had taken the no parking off of. And
Correct.
I'm wondering what I'm concerned about Center Street. And I'm wondering about that street. It's not a substandard street.
We took off several of the ones that are more in the residential areas because we wanted to take a soft approach to the transition of bike lanes so that we can help both bring awareness. We'll bring awareness with the lanes and with signage indicating that it's a bike lane. But taking it all the way to the hard hand of no parking, we felt like, that was kind of a big response. We have several others. At some point, we can reevaluate, and if there's areas that will need no parking at some point, that can be done. But at this point, we felt, taking a softer approach to the introductory of a new thing on the roadway made sense at this time.
So maybe I missed it, but what are we doing with on Center Street from 3rd East to West? To the west?
3rd East.
Yeah, for instance, 3rd East Center Street to, there's a section there that where we have Charles in front of the school, but then below that, above that, it's bike lane, no parking on the street.
So we'll still paint the bike lane on the road where it's showed as a bike lane. We'll still paint the Sharrow on the road, and we'll still do those, but we won't add signage on the side of the road that has the no parking signage, and we won't paint red curb.
To that area.
Right.
Okay.
There will still be a bike lane when the width is wide enough on Center Street for that stretch.
And,
What, Ryan, what stretch is that again? I couldn't quite hear Brett. Which stretch on Center Street are we talking about?
3rd East, West.
I'm sorry, it's very hard. It's very
From
hard to hear on
3rd
Zoom.
East, from 3rd East west towards the school. So from Brent's house to the west towards
Okay.
the elementary school, towards that way.
Okay. I guess that, I get what we're trying to do there. I have some concerns about safety for bicyclists in those instances, particularly downhill roads where they might be using a bike lane and have a reasonable expectation that there won't be a car there.
Well, it does bring up a problem. Are we creating a problem where we are giving people a false sense of security?
Yeah, that's my concern. Yeah.
Because what we may be doing is saying to people, okay, we've created you a bike lane. You can drop your guard. You don't have to be as aware on traveling on these roads. See, sometimes it's a catch-22. we move to make things better. And in so doing, we create a situation where people get overconfident that they've got control of their lane, and yeah, we run into problems.
Yeah, Brett, I think it's the same.
You have to always be, you always have to be on the lookout for a car when you're on your bike.
Ryan, I had one question, and I'm sorry if it's completely obvious to others, but it's not to me. On the bike lane plan, I'm gonna take this road as an example, since it was already brought up, and we know it's a bad situation. That's the first east up to Canyon Road. The plan calls for a separated buffered bike lane there. How is that even possible to provide that type of lane with that road width currently? Like the road's not wide enough to do that. Is it just in the plan because we plan on widening that road there?
At some point, yes. The plan
Okay.
the plan would encourage us, as we widen roads, as we address other things, that we should widen it in a manner that would allow for that to occur.
Okay, all right. That was my biggest question, because there's many of those buffered and separated buffers where the infrastructure isn't there to do it yet, but that's the plan, to go ahead and have that in place. And I think that bodes well as a positive message for the plan, in that I think it becomes immediately obvious on some of those really painful spots that we're going to proceed with some sort of infrastructure project at a future date to make it wider and safer. That's correct?
Correct. But
Okay.
that's why we have multiple plans, so we can watch as things progress.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a development in that area that occurs, and we say, hey, this is planned for this. We need to accommodate for that, whether it's right of way or a trail, or whatever that is. But as we plan and have a master plan in place, it allows us to do those kind of things. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah,
My name is Joe Ochoa, and I came to add on to what Bob has talked to you about, is perhaps widening the streets there. Now, there is a street that comes off onto 850. It would end up being like maybe 215 north, right in there. It's about 100 yards long right now, but it's supposed
It's going to be
go
longer.
down. Yeah, it's supposed to go down and curve. That might be a solution if we could widen that street for 5 feet. You might find a way to get a nice bicycle lane in there that's a softer climb than trying to get them to come up 850, kind of thing. So
But we can always
that
change.
road, that road is not in yet,
Right.
kind of thing. But it might be a solution on that one side to make it better and easier for the bicyclists to use.
Well,
Okay,
let's encourage you to stay involved so that we can do it when it comes time.
just 2 cents.
Okay, all right. Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to mention now 3rd East to the shop. Well, almost to the shop. It talks about a Charlotte. Now, I understand no parking, and sure, we don't want any parking out there. And occasionally I screw up my park out there for a short time, but I do. Anyway, nevertheless, there's 25 feet of asphalt there, but that's curb to curb. You got a few inches on the curb. Charlotte, is that where you paint the lines that they shared with the traffic?
Yes, it's a shared lane with traffic, so it's similar to what everything is now. Everything shares a lane with bikes, other than bikes are currently now allowed to go to the sidewalk or the street, whichever they want. And I suppose this doesn't actually change that law. But at this point, if we don't have enough width, those have to share. Painting a Sharrow on the road kind of just gives an indication that you're still on a bike trail and you're sharing that lane with a bike is from a vehicle perspective. And it also does that with the bicyclist, that it helps and says, hey, there's not enough space on the road to have my own lane. I need to be more cautious. And so it should help both directions to be observant of that. But when we don't have enough space for even a bike lane and it's a shared lane, and if we have routes, the nice thing with routes is we're trying to draw people to those routes so that we have some pinch points coming off the hill and coming off. I mean, we've talked about those Third East, Center Street. We have pinch points on that. We have pinch points on Canyon Road. We have other ones. I mean, they're like showed. There's lots, but we're working on incrementally, and you got to think incrementally. We've got to have our master plans are a 25-year plan. These are not what we're doing all this year. These are 25-year plans. But yes,
I think it's good because I think there's a man who operates a tricycle type thing with his hands, and he often in the summertime comes down and then he tries to go back up there. Boy, the traffic's not very patient with him going up through there, and it seems like I really worry about him, and I think that's a good idea to have a Sharrow there that lets him know. The only concern I have is drawing attention with more bikes to that area. I wish there was an alternate, a close at hand route that would get people around, maybe 100 north up around that area and come across up above or into the shop area where they can turn and go on up. But I guess it's just a matter of what we're dealing with right there. At one time, we had a chance to buy the Smith home, and we didn't do it. And it was probably a sad day, but now we recognize it. We didn't have a lot of money back in those days, and couldn't do it. So, but anyway, so that's our situation. But yeah, I think it's good to have some protection and let people know that they need to pay attention to them. Okay.
Well, I think that's what bike lanes do, is that they bring attention to the fact that somebody could be in that, and we just get people used to seeing that, and then if we widen the road, then it'll handle that. But having a bike lane is better than nothing, even if we're sharing it. Okay, so that is the end of our agenda items. I'll close that portion and we'll go to staff report.
Winter, very much winter. So
No,
things
we
have kind of slowed down, a lot of stuff's been put on hold. So in a lot of ways, it's slightly easier to go home at a decent hour. However, we're planning a lot of stuff for next year. So planning and design is under full board motivation. So we're gonna have a busy season. I can tell you that for sure. From what I see coming, and that's not just in our projects, that's development world kind of picking back up, it looks like, as well. So we got a lot of stuff just in the last couple of weeks when it comes to applications and concepts and things like that. So we're gonna have another busy year for sure. I just wanted to make note to our friend that was mentioning 200 north off of 850 east. That plan has already been submitted, just for a heads up for her. So the engineer, that will actually be a very steep.
That's the extension of Sarah Street.
No, well, it's a 200 north.
it'll
will come
tie
off-
to Sarah Street.
Okay, 200 north will come off of 850 east, and it's going to be pretty steep, and it'll follow our current code, so we can't really make it as wide as Ryan and I would like to see it. The landowner / developers went through a lot of different headaches trying to make that road work, and we tried to persuade him to keep trying. And I'm not liking what I'm seeing for that road, but the best they could come up with, I believe, and it's a tough spot. And just to get that out there, that'll be a tough road.
Another Center Street.
Yeah, it'll be steep with a sharp turn. I think it's pushing 15% there for a ways. At our max radius. Other than that, we're plowing snow. Hasn't been real horrible since we kind of had evening breaks. It snows at night. We plow all morning and day and gives us a break at night. So it's been good on the plowers' ability to get some rest here and there. So
Can I just tell you from a citizen's perspective, thank you. Tell your crew, thank you for
appreciate
the work that they do. The streets look great, and so tell them thank you.
We've got a great process with a great bunch of guys that all want to work together on it.
Yeah.
Make that system work. Oh, I appreciate that. I'll relay that.
Thank you.
You liking that new truck?
Jason,
The arm out?
Jason.
Jason has decided that it's got a learning curve factor with that wing, that size. It's hard to see. I've sat in it and I've played just enough to know that that's definitely our most difficult truck when it comes to visibility. The other trucks, the bobtail versus those 1-ton, I actually like plowing those better. You can see when you're up there like that. That truck is just so big. You feel like you got a million blind spots, and that new wing that's on it proven to be wonderful. However, it's got a learning curve when it comes to that curve finder on the side.
Can't just let anybody drive it, right?
You're not out on 91, that's for sure.
Well,
Round down, it's tough, yeah.
yeah, he's definitely wore the edge off that wing already, but that curve can handle it. He's a good driver, so he's learning, getting those distances figured out. So he hasn't broken mailbox or nothing with it yet, so that's great.
I'm looking for hydrants to be taken off.
That wouldn't be good.
I was teasing about that.
Mhm.
Great, thank you.
That's all I have to think.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Same to you. Scott?
Rob is right. The land use as far as development applications has picked up. And so we will have a busy spring, and depending on what happens, we may have, as far as construction projects go, may have a busy summer with these, if those development projects move forward. So we'll keep up on that and let you know. I want to thank everybody that participated in the Christmas tree lighting. It really was a fun and a great event. And we were fortunate in the great donors that came about. But we actually did a little better than that. And I didn't get a chance to call the family. I forgot about it until it was too late to call the family place and find out, because you were able to donate directly to them.
Until the end of this month.
Yeah.
The 31st.
And so we did have some people that did that. They donated directly to the family place. So our donations probably were closer to a little over 3 if you count some of those that donated directly to them. So it was a great event, and we want to thank everybody, the volunteers and everybody that participated, but particularly the citizens that came out and supported it so well. That was
That was
really
awesome. We had
Yeah.
a big crowd.
Yeah.
That was great.
And I've been fortunate enough to get, I'm sure downstairs, they're getting some maybe snow removal complaints, but I have been fortunate enough, and I want to thank those citizens that have taken the time to call and express their appreciation. We've had more call and do that over the past couple of storms than I've had for a long time. So I want to publicly thank the people that are taking a minute to let us know that they appreciate the work. So that's great that we've got people out there willing to do that. And I want to thank everybody for the goodies to walk in and have a nice treat. And honestly, we've had some citizens that have sent us some goodies too. And so there are citizens out there. They might come and complain about us in the council room, but they also come in and say thank you. And that's really it's alive. Yeah, it is. And recreation will be starting up. Our park reservations will start on January 2nd online. You can start reserving the park use. Reserved use is from May 1 to September 30. And so, but the reservations start online. Our comp baseball program for those competitive teams, that registration will start in January. Working on the January newsletter. I wanted to report too that we did get the letter from the state. We cured our deficiency, and our moderate income housing report has been accepted. I think the last meeting, someone suggested that we maybe reach out and ask people to tell us about their accessory dwelling units so we can show that we're working on that. And so I spoke with Ryan, and we will be putting an article in the newsletter about accessory dwelling units and internal dwelling units, asking people to please help us to identify those units so that we can report to the state. We're trying to do a little bit of education to let people know that we have to report it to the state, our progress, and if they can help us show progress in those kind of ways, then maybe we won't have to do other things. So we'll be optimistic that people will be supportive and reach out to us. And that's kind of my thought process, is that during this year, we will reach out to people on different type of things with that moderate income housing plan to let them know and get their input and their help, so that when we do our report at the end of the year, it won't catch people off guard on the agenda. It will be something that they've heard about. And Ryan also talked about surveys, because I know that on our survey, we laugh about it sometimes because it said that they like to get information in the newsletter, but very seldom do they respond to that information in the newsletter. So we get much better response rate on surveys. And so I think Ryan and I will work together to put together something that will go out on a survey type form and see if we can get some response that way too. So, and just I hope you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And thank you again for your support of the staff. It's very much appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate the work that you do, working with the developers and making sure that we're following all the rules. That's a lot. So thank you. Merry Christmas.
Very welcome. Thanks.
Ty? I thought we could get out of here at 7, but it's not looking good.
I'm just reading on the website. It's moving a lot quicker than we thought. Hope you guys are excited with the direction we're going. If you compare what you saw to our current website, night and day, both in look and functionality. So we should have another big update mid-January, and we're looking to go live probably February. So it's going a lot quick. Both of you guys will be including that in January. Got quite a few parking violation citations filed in the court the last 2 weeks, almost 20. So the cops are out there citing people who are parking on the streets and they shouldn't be. So hopefully that will get resolved and will back out.
This is mostly overnighters, right?
Yeah, overnight parking. Yeah, I've seen an uptick in those. So yeah, all I got.
Thank you. Right?
I want you to know that the staff appreciates the council and all that you do, the support you have for us as things go on. Hopefully you feel that back from the staff. Hopefully you feel like we're supporting and helping you to be as successful as you can be. We want that, and we want the residents of Providence to be as happy with what their city is becoming as we can be, because that's what we work for, is towards your vision, and we know that you serve the residents in that vision. There are some things, obviously we are, and I just pulled up the map I showed before, but you can see that we have an aggressive, as we have each of the past years, we've had a fairly aggressive program towards what we're accomplishing. We we are working with garbage. One thing that Mayor and I and Rob, we met with Ace Disposal and kind of had a good conversation with them. We have scheduled some meetings with Logan and visiting with them, and to determine our future as you had asked us to. We have a few options going forward. The consortium is proceeding in their path, and they've sent out their RFP and interviewed their respondents, and I assume that they'll have a path for them. But we're working forward. Rob and I found some garbage trucks in Texas, and so I think we were going to fly out on the 26th, as long as you're all right. They're 400,000 apiece, and we could get 2 of them to come back. It just happens to be that the 27th in Dallas, where these trucks are, just happens to be the USU Bowl game. So, I don't miss that. If I could really help it. Totally. Well, anyway, you can tell I am a true Aggie. I know where those bowl games are and when they are very well. So anyway, on a different note, our treasurer gave her notice, and she's leaving us, and we'll start interviewing next week for replacements. And when we find a good replacement, I'll bring that back to you for your confirmation and vote. So anyway, we're progressing in lots of different avenues. Right now, a lot of what we're doing is planning towards getting our engineering planned and getting our projects ready. As a general rule, the best time to bid out projects is February, March. And so we're trying to shoot for that so we have the best pricing. So we look to make sure we get us in on the best times to bid. And so we're making great progress. We're working within the budget. The fiber is moving along. We have several of our pond cabinets. We've had to add an extra pond cabinet. So that does have a little extra cost to there. But we're seeing some significant growth. They will slow down on the main line. You've probably seen a lot of the main line being going in. Both companies that are installing the main line are going to take a winter shutdown, and we're going to focus on installs and connections over the next couple of months while the main line shut down. So we're not in the road with this. It's hard to have everything in the same spot.
In the already too narrow.
Narrow roads. I will admit they are, but it's something we'll need to work on. But anyway, if there's anything that you need from me, anything I can answer or address that you have.
Well, I think I probably could speak for the council to tell Angie what a great job she's done. We're sad to see her go, but if you'll pass that to her from us as a council, that we appreciate the work that she's done and the things she's put in place, and we'll miss her.
Agreed.
And I believe we appreciate our staff very, very, very much. And we want to say thank you so much for all that you do. It seems like it really helps minimize and gives us understanding when we come to city council meeting. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And we wish you happy holidays too.
We should have an excellent staff.
Well, and Ryan, for all your work. I mean, he's done an incredible amount of work on the garbage, trying to get enough information so that we know what kind of decision we're going to make. And we're always getting a grant here and a grant there, everything that helps. And the citizens see that and see that we are actively trying to spend the money wisely and still provide amenities for the city. That makes a difference. So thank you for your work.
Thanks. Talking about skate park, we are taking donations for that if you know anybody that would like to donate to make a bigger skate.
Just how big did you want it?
Big.
Okay, that does it for our meeting. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion that we adjourn.
Okay, motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you all.
Aye.
Christmas
Merry
to
Christmas.
everyone.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Get well, Janelle. We need you
Thanks.
back there. And Josh, we need you at the meeting.
You what?
We miss you both.
Oh, miss you.